Hey everybody, you may or may not have watched yesterday's video where I posted the raw gameplay footage against Joe Schaefer. I've been thinking about this match and just thinking about what I could have done better and wanted to provide some insightful commentary about what I was thinking about during this match. And it's a short match, but I feel like there's still a lot to be learned here. We have a pretty good opening hand. We have a couple ways to get to Matthew or Resurrection Revealer. Life Through Christ can go get Matthew, or Angelic Guidance can go get a silver hero. So I have plenty of angels, but I don't have any evil characters. So if I lose the die roll here, this hand it's not the best. Would have much rather preferred to go first, try to draw into some evil characters. But with this deck, I think there's about a 50% chance of drawing evil character on turn one if you're going second. So, well, actually, let me do the math on that really fast. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 evil characters. Let's open up the hypergeometric calculator. So 11 evil characters out of population size of 100 minus 14. So that's 84. Sample size of 8. The probability we'll get at least one evil character is actually around 70%. Given 8 cards and 11 evil characters in deck and an 84. So anyways, so this is what I 30% of times we didn't get it. So anyways, this deck is fine with just giving up the first lost soul and trying to use its leverage to draw more cards and then get good blocks later on in the game. So nothing too crazy to be worried about. Double class curses here. And he wins the die roll here, gets some lost souls. So even if I did have a high priest Annis, that won't help me out here. Annis is really solid on turn 1 and 2 if you can get enough souls out of play. All right, Lost Child found coming in. Bounce some things later, but he can use the star ability to play Lost Soul from my deck. Just another way to get some souls out. Very nice. Not doing a pretty good job of soul hiding. Turn 1, I already have 4 souls in play. So one thing that you could do in this watching this replay and just say to yourself, like, well, if I had gone first, things would have happened differently. Because I could have got Akeem, negated his Land of Moab, and slowed him down a bit. So there's like a domino effect. It's like, oh, if he can't get Jesse, then I can Goliath's Curse and use my artifacts. So instead of kind of going that route and just saying, if I had gone first, this game would have been different, we're just going to try to analyze what I could have done differently to try and win the game as is. So David, Heart After God, coming in hot. I really like this card. I think people are sleeping on him, especially if you can go David plus Rhydon plus a big banding card. So he has a Meek character. He has Threshing Floor, which is protecting Meek and Ruth heroes in territory from harm. And then he also has Jesse. Wait, no, that's not. He has Obed. Good old Obed. So while you control Meek hero, negate opponent's neutral cards. Would have loved to Goliath's Curse that guy, but he's negating my neutrals. So I'm just going to set up for Matthew. Try to get as big as a turn that I can here. We drew Gabriel, Lost Child Found, and Woman with Child return. I like to play, if I'm using the star ability on Lost Child Found, I love to play the Hopper out of their deck, because if I get to a point where I do get Burial, I can make it so they don't get a Lost Soul at a clutch time. So I looked at their hand. I think it was 4 brigades with Matthew. Did a big band here. Let me pause the video. So I think I just saw that they had Malachite Slave in hand. And here's, I think, where I made a mistake. So when I played the Resurrection, I could have got any empty Tomb Hero out of my deck. So if I just wanted to draw more cards, well, I should have gone Nicodemus, because I'm already tossing the next with Joanna, right? So that would have drawn me an extra card. So that's like, okay, whatever. I missed out on a card there. But if I just wanted to make sure they didn't really have any good blocks, I could have gone Mary the Restored. I really like opening up with Mary on turn 1 with the Resurrection. She's a really hard block, and even if they do try to block you, you can just take a dominant you need to win the fight from your deck. So I do believe I should have got Mary here instead of John, but I think at the time I was like, oh man, the reason I didn't go for this play is because she negates. I guess I could have attacked with her not negated, right? But or not converted to Meek to negate, but usually it's really good to negate. But anyways, the reason why I decided to not get her in the moment was really not wanting to negate my dominant search here, because I wanted to grab just a crouch choice and have it for for defense because I knew my defense was lacking in this hand. So I just wanted to try and get some defense. And so if I did that and then I banded in Mary the Restored, I would have negated my search. So I guess this was the greediest play where I block and then he looks at his hand and he looks at his deck and he says, oh, I can't block this. So here's a soul. Something I could have done differently here was getting Mary, banning to Woman with Child and grabbing Son of God and layering it so that Woman with Child will trigger first so I can get Son of God out of my deck and it can't be interrupted by Mary. So that's something I could have done slightly different, which might have made a difference in this game. So anyways, quickly we'll just mention his hand. He has a couple of dominance and one evil enhancement and a Malachite Slave. Proceeding with the game, get our crowd's choice here. We drew some more cards. There's some defense. We got Annis the Elder and a Christian Martyr. Christian Martyr's really good against lone heroes in battle, but those Bethany heroes we saw in her hand. I don't know if we'll get to play a Martyr this game. Okay, Malachite Slave to Wandering Israelites. Draw a card. Nice value. To Hora, who can take an evil OT Brown enhancement from deck. Okay, so now this is probably the worst case scenario for me where he's going to threaten to reap the whirlwind on my guys. So yeah, I get to toss the next. I get to toss his Confusion there, but now I have to burn my crowd's choice for like an Angel or Glory in order to stop him from setting back all my heroes and getting rid of a soul. So I guess I could have let that happen. Could have saved my crowd's choice for defense, but yeah, could have done that, I suppose. All right, pass the turn. Our hand is not looking too hot. I do have Annis the Elder and 2 negates, so that's something, right? But based upon his hand, I know he has Glory, and I know he has Angel. So even if I do block with Annis the Elder, he's just going to Angel of the Lord, my blocker. So it doesn't look like I'll be able to get a block this turn either. Okay, he's going for Son of God Second Coming, which is smart. In Big Clay, or like a Soul-Hide deck in general, you kind of want to play your Son of God Second Coming early, because if I play Burial and I underdeck my Lost Souls, there might not be a chance where you can Son of God Second Coming. So if you're playing a Soul-Hide deck and people are smart and they're gonna Son of God Second Coming, it's really nice if you can play Grapes in your deck, because like, look at this scenario now. If I had a Grapes in my hand, they're up early. I just need some time to buy some time. I can block and then shuffle away their banding chain. So we got Mary, or was it Mary? Mary and Martha, huh? Okay, so Martha's a problem. I do have this nice Christian Martyr in my hand, but it's going to restrict evil dominance. So that's going to stop a lot of my outs here. Okay, so let's talk about this turn. This turn is a very critical turn for me. I got my back up against the wall. If I don't find an answer to his offense, then I'm out of the game and I can't catch up because I go second. Something crucial I missed here is that Mary negates other characters in territory. And I was operating under the assumption that his Obed, his negate neutrals, was still active. So everything I did this turn was with that assumption in mind. And that was an incorrect assumption. And I believe it really cost me the game. And while thinking about this game, I think I found a line that could have helped me win the game. Okay, so my face down artifacts that you see there are, I think one is Book of the Covenant. And so here's what I do. I activate Book of the Covenant, go to my reserve for Send the Helper. I activate Send the Helper, bounce somebody, doesn't really matter. I get Storehouse, get You Will Remain, just as backup, that on Book of the Covenant. And then I attack with somebody, a meek hero. Send the Helper will trigger. I can grab a card from my reserve so I can get the Ascension. So I grab that, and then before he blocks, I play Ride On. And I can play enhancement on the meek character. So I get to play the Ascension. I get to grab Paul out of my reserve, draw 2. Band a Woman with Child, John, and like a Matthew or somebody, like Angel of the Winds and a Gabriel. So I get to reserve evil card out of his deck. Get to draw a bunch of cards, and Woman with Child can go in and now get a Grapes of Wrath out of my deck. And unless he negates that, next turn is pretty much guaranteed to be an auto block, since he already Angel of the Lorded he already uses Angel of the Lord. So like if he attacks with the big banding chain and I block, there's not really anything he can do if I just Grapes of Wrath the blocker. So in retrospect, this is what I should have done. And I guess when you have all the time in the world, it's easy to think of these lines. Not easy to think of these lines, but it's like, oh, it's kind of obvious sometimes in retrospect. But just like missing one thing, I think cost me the game. The fact that Martha negates all characters in territory, even his own territory class characters. Because I was playing like he negated my Akeem. I was like, okay. So anyways, I'll just continue pressing play here, and we can go watch me fumble through a turn. So if my neutrals were being negated, it would be nice to figure out the best I can do. Goliath's curses are off the table, so I'll just keep those in my hand. So if my neutrals are negated here, I'm just trying to figure out like what is my best attack otherwise. I have Lost Child Found, which can bounce Obed. Yeah, so I could have done that too. So I could have bounced, oh wait, Obed might be the stretching for protect from harm. Protect. Okay, so lost child found would not be considered harm, so I could have bounced Obed there. So I could have bounced Obed, get my neutrals online, get send the helper, and do that anyways. So that was another line I could have taken if I used my lost child found to bounce his territory class card. Yeah, that's another thing that looks obvious in hindsight, but I guess I was really tunnel focused on playing this Angelic Guidance here. Yeah. We do get to see his hand as a consolation prize. He drew Israel's Rebellion. So that's a good block if he finds an evil wilderness hero, but I think his hand was just like Haman, some brown enhancements that don't win negate wars. So I'm kind of flailing at this point. I'm not seeing the lines to win the game. And so I'm just trying to figure out how do I win. So now in this point of the game, let's just go back and see what his hand was. So his hand was a Haman's plot, reap the whirlwind. So if I just attack with Woman with Child, grab Grapes of Wrath, he can block with Haman, but then I can toss with Terret's Temple, so he can try to win a toss war, but I think, let's see, I'm not sure. I might like lose the toss war, but then I get a grapes in my hand. So yeah, attacking with Woman with Child and getting Grapes of Wrath, and then so if I had this information, then yeah, that's something I should have done. So just a couple misplays here. Noticing now, it's really helpful to it's painful, but it's helpful to rewatch and see what you could have done differently. So David just looks at my deck for a glory. It's not really going to help me right now. And he gives up the soul. He didn't really want to fight David. Smart. And now I'm just praying he doesn't have a Lazarus in his hand. He didn't draw Lazarus for turn. Because if he doesn't draw Lazarus, like I'm good here, right? I got my good old Woman of Thebez. And there's Lazarus. No. So I can't block. I can go Woman of Thebez, and I have 2 negated Goliath curses in my hand, and that's not going to cut it. So, and another misplay is before I surrender the soul, I should have Son of Godded something. So I could have made this a 5-3 instead of a 5-2. So yeah. So I guess the takeaway I'm getting from here is like, instead of walking away and saying like, oh, if I had gone first, I would have won, or opponent got lucky because you draw Lazarus there and I lost. Instead of talking like that, I think the focus should more be on like, okay, what could I have done differently? And so that kind of thinking led me to think about, okay, I messed up, and I think I could have won this if I had played better. And I think we'll remember that in time for a tournament. See you guys around.